Hi friends, welcome back to the Arun Sharma Mindworks channel, and we are doing this CAT prep strategy course on the long term. And one thing I forgot to mention in the last couple of sessions, that even if you're going for a 2-year CAT prep process, you will basically just expand the timelines on what we are doing. The process would remain the same. While I'm making this course for 8 to 12 months, ideally, but even if you're going for a 2-year process, because a lot of you are asking me on the channel comments about a 2-year plan, so you can actually do this. I might bring a separate couple of episodes on 2-year plans. How do you modify this stuff later during the course? But essentially, you can also do that modification on your own, and apply logic, apply common sense, and you'll get a lot of value out of that. So we have talked about in the first two episodes. We have talked about how why your belief should be in place, why you should believe that you can get your target percentile, and if there's a obstruction in a belief that tells you that you can't get to that target percentile, then you need to get rid of that obstruction. And there's a lot of logic for why, if you can get to 90, why you can't get to 99. There's no logic for it, right? So you need to explain that to yourself and be ready for making that jump in belief, because unless you have that belief of that faith aspect in your preparation process, you will not achieve what you're trying to achieve. So that's once you're done with those two things, then I wanted to actually come back to what I briefly addressed in the first part, the first part of this course, the first episode, about your timeline. So I have told you this already, so I'm not repeating that, but just very briefly re-encapsulating that. Your preparation process has to be in two parts. One is, the first part is where you are where your process preparation is dominated by the intake of content, by the intake of skills, by the skills upgradation. And the second part is where you are looking at focusing on output, where you are giving out what you've learned, and you're practicing the mock tests and going through simulations, so that you're creating that output along with a clear time frame for where your preparation is dominated by output oriented activities. So that's important. Why it's important, I've told you that this output part has to be around 4 months long, 3 to 4 months long at least, where you're dominating by output. I'm not saying that during this last 4 months you don't do any input. You might find that when you are going into a mock test, you might find that some chapters that you've already done before, but they are not working inside the exam. So you might want to do some input, some practice of those. You might want to do some questions from those. You might want to do those things. So that will be part of this thing. But it's like 80% output, 10 to 20% input in the last 3 months. First 5 months, 5-6 months, 90% input. 90% of the work you're doing is on input, and 10% is practicing mocks and tests, etc. So that's how the preparation profile changes from your first 4-5 months to your last 4-5 months, right? And this also resonates with another aspects to CAT. I always tell people, and you need to understand this when you're starting to prepare for CAT, that CAT prep is about two things. It's about skill development, and it's about performance and the management of performance. So you can have great skills, but if you can't perform on the given day, you end up losing the whole year. So you remember that when you're preparing for CAT, you don't only do skill development work. You have to make sure that you prepare yourself for performance. And of course, the process for that is mock tests, etc. We'll do a detailed episode on that later. But skill development is one part of CAT prep, and performance development is the second part. So what I'm talking about, input and output, kind of resonates with that objective also, right? What I see a lot of people making a mistake in is that they are preparing for skills right to the year, and they are practicing and practicing and practicing without doing too many simulations and mock tests, etc. They avoid mock tests till the end, which is something you have to not do, right? So and the other part, when you're starting off, this is not a session on individual sections. We'll come up with individual sections, and there are episodes coming through the next couple of weeks on this channel. And do subscribe and like the channel, and do share the videos that we are putting out here. But what we are looking at is one more aspect which I want to talk to you about, and this is something that is one of the FAQs a lot of people ask me, and that is, Do I need to do everything every day? One. Or, I mean, the other opposite is people who say that I'll do quants in the first 3 months and then I'll go to verbal. So please don't make both these mistakes. Trying to do everything every day is a mistake. You don't need to, I mean, because reason why I call it a mistake is because when you start preparing and let's say you have, let's say 5 hours of CAT prep time on a daily basis, 4 to 5 hours of CAT prep time on a daily basis, that's quite enough by the way. तो अगर तुम्हारे पास उतना टाइम है और तुम सपोज टुडे व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड सिटिंग फॉर समथिंग एंड you kept a target that you have to do cons also, DI also, LR also, and verbal also. So what happens is, suppose you get into quants and you're having a good high quality study session in quants during the day today, and the first 2-3 hours went very high quality on quants, and you feel that if you continue the quants, the output will be strong. तो अगर तुम्हारे पास एक इम्पेरेटिव होगा कि आज सब कुछ करना है इसलिए अब छोड़ देते हैं क्वांट्स को, तो व्हाट यू डू इज यू ब्रेक अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग स्टडी सेशन व्हिच यू शुड नॉट डू. Right, so instead of what I say, you have to balance everything in your preparation. You have to balance everything. It's very important. You have to balance your QA preparation, you have to balance your DI preparation, you have to balance your LR preparation, and you have to balance your VARC preparation, but it has to be balanced on a week to week basis. So at the end of every week you have to have some answers to what did I do for QA, what did I do for DI, what did I do for logical reasoning, and what did I do for verbal and comprehension this week. If there are no answers for any one of these, that means your balance is falling off. But on a particular day, you could spend a week in this form where Monday, Tuesday you're doing only quants, Wednesday and Thursday you're focusing only on verbal and DI. So what I typically advise is that on a typical day, what you do is you create a major activity and a minor activity. So what you do is, so there could be days where your verbal is major and LR is minor. There could be other days where your DI is major, LR is minor. There could be days where quants is major, LR is minor, quants is major, verbal is minor, verbal is major, quants is minor. So what happened time division wise? If you're spending 5 hours on prep, you'll spend 4 hours on verbal on the day on which verbal is major, and 1 hour on quants on the day on which it's minor. So major पे 3 to 4 hours spend करो, minor पे 1 to 2 hours spend करो, and essentially that's how you balance your preparation. Do not make mistakes like कि पहले quants खत्म कर लूँगा उसके बाद verbal start करूँगा, because remember I told you in the first episode the power of compounding. So problem क्या है, if you do it this way कि I'll finish quants in 4 months and then I'll start verbal, what happens is you'll get compounding for quants, because compounding, as I said, was when you take in something, when you develop some skills and you allow that skill to germinate in your mind and to remain in your mind, it starts growing, it gets compounded, and its effects get compounded, and it starts becoming your own skill. So what happens is if you do this in blocks, first I finish quants and then I do verbal, what will happen is your verbal will be too close to the exam, or for that matter DI or LR, it will be too close to the exam, and you will not get the power that compounding gives, or the outcomes that compounding creates for us on those areas. So that's why reduce how much you do on quants on a weekly basis. Just make sure that you're balancing everything. कुछ करना नहीं है. 30 questions per day, 150 questions per week in quants is a good target. 20 to 25 articles of reading in verbal, and that's another aspect. We'll talk about it in the verbal episodes. But verbal में the first 3 months is especially for 8, 10, 12, 15 month plus preparation. For the first 3 months has to be spent on improving the ability to read and understand. We'll talk about that in details in some other lesson. So I hope this was valuable for you, and please do share the video, and do share, and of course Mindworks is always there to help you in case you're looking at some institute which will give you a high quality online course which is very coordinated and very structured between a lot of teachers. We've got a huge team at Mindworks who's helping people like yourself to actually not just guide you, but also actually make sure that you end up doing what you're required to do, right? So that's where we put our mouth where our we put, what, as they say, we put our money where our mouth is, in that sense. So that's always available to you, and I'll do a separate video about the Mindworks course, etc. A lot of you have been asking me for that. Thank you so much. Abhi ke liye I'll take a leave, and I'll come back with sectional strategies as we move on. Thank you so much.